In the first part of the book, we talked about the fact that with the transition to the new age, reality is renewed and comes to life as in spring. The rhythms of the planet that govern the vital activity of the organism change, and the organism itself changes along with the awakening of that part of the DNA that remained dormant before the onset of the modern age. These changes concern not only the next generations, but also us, the passengers of the train of the outgoing reality. In the conditions of the transition, a unique window of opportunity has opened when the degradation and aging of the body is allowed to be turned into rebirth and development. Allowed means that this opportunity is not given to everyone by default for the sole reason that we are at a transfer station. But for those who express a desire and intention to board a train departing for the new reality, we are having this opportunity. We have a serious deterrent, a program laid down more by society than by nature. This program, and I'm going to elaborate here, this is amazing. It's a lie. It's a lie that we believe because we heard it so many times, because we've seen it and we don't see the exception, because so many people believe the lie. And that lie is that all people age quickly, become sick, decrepit, and die. Imagine if you were to take that out of your reality, okay? One should not compare oneself with the animal and plant world where there is no society. And the time of life it is as limited as that of people. A human being is not really an animal creature, but rather a kind of star. He has consciousness and will, which means he can make himself. Not only physics works here, but also metaphysics, the subtle plane. By now, this program can be hacked and replaced by another, meaning at this point in time. Now, consciously and intentionally set your program for transformation, regeneration, and evolution. Let me remind you what these three links consist of. Transformation, to set a goal for oneself to develop and work with physics and energy in order to help the physical body to transform in accordance with the newly activated part of the DNA, and the energy body to attune to the new energies. Regeneration is not the proverbial slowing down of aging, but rather the complete renewal of all organs, systems, and cells. Do not believe it if some old woman tells you that this is impossible. If you believe her, you'll become just like her. If you do not believe her, you will transform into a new body. This is precisely a case where, as is your faith, so shall it be done unto you. Or more accurately, as is your will. Retry reason. Evolution is even more exciting than regeneration. If you listen closely to your body, it will let you know that it finds this idea very appealing. It does not want to wither away. On the contrary, it knows that regeneration is possible. After all, it's not without reason that dormant DNA has been activated. And as for evolution, why, the body is all for it. You need only give it that directive and offer your assistance. We are here to evolve. It's, a central tenet of all of these books. We're here to evolve. It remains unknown what form our evolution will ultimately take. The caterpillar does not know the butterfly. Perhaps we will transform into Atlanteans, men and women of Atlantis, or something of that nature. After all, according to the legend, highly advanced human races possessing supernatural abilities did indeed exist. Eventually, these civilizations passed away, or moved on, only to be succeeded by new ones that continued to evolve in their turn. Evolution moves in a spiral. The next generations will be more perfect than we are. But right now, we are at the beginning of some next rounds of evolution. So why not start right with ourselves? if such a unique opportunity arises. I reiterate these affirmations once again, having repeated them countless times already, so that they become firmly ingrained within my mental template. TRE is phonetically similar to the French word très, meaning very or highly, très bien, meaning very good. Thus, for us, TRE signifies, in every respect, something truly highly and very significant. Transformation, regeneration, and evolution, unlike the concept of a healthy lifestyle established within the old system, represent something genuinely new and radical. The technogenic system, the matrix. I read that book recently, well, summary of it. If you want more information, that's on another page. The technogenic system, the matrix, supports the healthy lifestyle precisely because it satisfies the system's requirement. Be a relatively healthy cog in the machine, performed your assigned functions right up until retirement, but nothing more. The objective of a matrix element is not meant to be self-development. Rather, at best, it's merely the treatment of ailments and the maintenance of oneself in working order. In other words, you're at survival, not thrival. The technogenic system only wants us to serve them. To reactivate the process of true development, something more than just a standard healthy lifestyle is required, something else entirely. 1. Cleansing the body and mind. 2. Clean and efficient nutrition. 3. Attunement with new energies. 4. Varied and effective movement. 5. Unshakable attitude to revival and development. The last point, to get rid of the old woman, is especially important. How the program of age-related changes works. At first, you are told that all people age and degrade with age. You agree with this because life, with rare exceptions, shows this all around you. Then, with age, you observe that you yourself are not changing for the better. You contemplate the reflection in the mirror and agree with the program again. You agree that you are degrading, and again find confirmation along that feedback chain. Although the program works looped and therefore, the program works looped and relentlessly. In other words, it's a feedback loop. Program tells you you're going to degrade and get old. You start feeling a little creak in the bone. You're like, I'm degrading and getting old. You start telling your body, I'm degrading and getting old. You start degrading and getting old more. It's a feedback loop. So pay attention to the vector of the program. 1. Look in the mirror. 2. Agree with the program. Confirm it. The vector should be rotated 180 degrees according to the principle of transurfing, not what I see, I sing about, but on the contrary, first I sing, then I see. You have to determine form in the image of yourself in order to see the corresponding reflection in the mirror. In transurfing, there is the 2 notebooks technique for this. In the first one, in the morning, you write down declarations of what you want to achieve, and in the evening, the second. You write down what progress towards the goal you noticed. Tufte has a similar technique, thought forms and thought markers. By setting the target thought forms, you move to those films where your mannequin, your body, is transformed or renewed. It's not enough just to say a word about your renewal. This word must be pronounced in a state where you are not just thinking about the goal, but in such a state as if the goal has already been achieved. So by tracking the slightest progress and noticing them with thought markers, yes, it really works, you enter the true state. Thus, first you need to set yourself a goal. This is really important. Get a goal. If you can't get a goal, keep working on getting a goal. And there are instructions in this book and in almost all of his other books. So you have to formulate that goal for yourself clearly, preferably in writing. For example, my body has a program for rebirth and development, where my body is completely renewed and reborn. There's a complete regeneration of all cells and organs. I'm 20 years old again, and I look 20 years old. I look young and attractive. I turn into an Atlantean. I have powerful health, powerful energy, and excellent well-being. I am full of strength and energy. I feel just fine. Make up thought forms for yourself as it fits your soul. For example, if you're not yet 20 years old, set a goal for development. Of course, there should be no stop and degradation, only development and improvement. Or, if you can't wait for 20 years, broadcast a thought form. Every day I look younger and more attractive. In the end, I am completely reborn and return to my 20s. And then transmit it in your thoughts or out loud, or write it down in a notebook. You can use the technique Two Notebooks by Transurfing or New Mannequin by Tufty, or both together in the background. Also, just say to yourself when you remember your goals, and be sure to catch the changes in yourself, the slightest movements, and confidently state, yes, I am really reborn and developing. The main thing is to enter the cycle of the program. First, the declaration of the goal, and then the statement of progress. I declare thought forms for regeneration. Observe the change that happens, and then state that there are shifts. I really begin to look younger and feel better. Then this new program will work as inexorably as the old one used to work. And with the advent of the technique of unity with spirit, such a program can be launched and executed even more effectively, since your spirit is in the same place as your project, and it knows better how to carry it out. As already mentioned, a significant part of the project is not in the DNA, but on the subtle plane, and this part can be corrected. Not to mention the dormant DNA, and that probably contains this very Atlantean or Atlantic part, and which needs to be helped to awaken, gets helped along with this. So the algorithm for setting the TRE program in contact with the spirit: 1, enter the presence. Pay attention to what it is doing and take control of it. 2, establish contact with the access point. Raise, turn direct, the ray of attention to the point of the spirit at an angle of approximately 45 degrees, behind and above the back of the head, cone heads. 3, declare the thought form of TRE. 4, to relieve the sensation, free the attention. So then let it go. Now for the explanation. This is not really a state of the spirit, but only contact with it. We do not close our attention to ourselves. It should not be in the mode of contemplation, but to be able to think. Contemplation is required for decision making, for the cumulative effect, for controlling waking dreams and other functions which we'll talk about later. Therefore, it will be necessary and sufficient to enter the state of presence and establish contact. If you have practiced waking up in a waking dream and in the spirit, this technique will be not difficult for you at all. It's super easy. It is better to proclaim a thought form consisting of several sentences united by one meaning in one session. Leave other meanings or goals for other sessions. Do not lump everything together. How many such goals you will have is up to you. Here we have considered only one task, TRE. You could proclaim the TRE thought form in full as you compose it, or in shortened form in which you yourself feel more power. To begin with, it is better to do it in full. Then, when you get used to the content and meaning, you can shorten it as you see fit. For example, renewal, rejuvenation, development, or full regeneration. Or in an integral frame, you might say transformation, regeneration, and evolution. Proclaim, of course, not mechanically, but consciously, putting meaning and intention into your words. And then during the day, it is imperative to observe yourself with the conviction, ascertain progress. It is possible and even desirable to state in the same way in contact with the spirit. Greedily catch these shifts, and they will happen. The more we connect to what's happening, it's like when we give a kid a present and the kid is like, oh my God, oh wow, we want to give that kid more ice cream or whatever it is, because that excitement, that joy, that's what the world does with us too. The more we connect with that excitement, the more is given. Everything is fractals at level. Observe your world and the world gives it back. The possibility of regeneration is provided for those who express such a desire and intention. The only deterrent is the mental programming of aging. It is necessary to replace the old program with a new one. Set a goal for revival and development and work with physics and energy. Evolution moves in a spiral. We are at the beginning of the next turn. The body knows that regeneration and evolution are possible, and it wants it. An unwavering commitment to revival and development is a particularly important point. Program vector. Look in the mirror, and then agree with the program and confirm it. The vector must be rotated 180 degrees. You have to formulate the image of yourself in order to see the corresponding reflection in the mirror. It is not enough just to say a word about your renewal. This word must be pronounced in a state that seems to have already achieved it. By tracking the slightest progress and ascertaining them, you enter the true state. The main thing is to enter the cycle of the program. First, the declaration of the goal, and then the statement of progress. Then the new program will work as inexorably as the old one used to work. In contact with the spirit, such a program can be started and executed even more effectively. Your spirit is in the same place as your project, and it knows best how to accomplish it. A declaration should not be proclaimed mechanically but consciously, putting meaning and intention into words, and with the same conviction to state the progress. It is possible and even desirable to state in the same way in contact with the spirit. Questions and feedback. So how long will this window of opportunity be opened? There will be a few more years, or maybe dozens. No one knows for sure. It is said here not to close one's attention to oneself. It is also possible to set reality in contact with the spirit without closure. Yes, it is possible to set reality with the spirit without closing your attention to yourself. That is, you can illuminate the target frame not in the state of the spirit, but only in contact with it. The technique is described in Appendix 3. The main thing is contact, with the braid or with the spirit. Actually, a full-fledged state of the spirit is more suitable for other purposes. However, if you're able to set the target frame in the state of the spirit, and not just in contact, then you are good to do it. It depends on how it works. The option that you personally get better will work more powerfully. Is it worth setting reality using the spirit point, or is the braid's assemblage point more effective for this? I have the impression that the spirit point is more effective for setting reality. Or is it still needed for a cumulative effect? It depends. Personally, I am used to setting reality with an ordinary braid. However, according to the enhanced technique described in Appendix 3, the state of the spirit is for other tasks, but you can do it for that task. I repeat, the version that works best for you is the best version. Such a moment, I literally can't do the visualization of the slide because I don't know how to visualize. What am I going to do? Use thought forms. They also work. Only thought forms should not be pronounced just as words. It has to be charged with the state. How does it feel? What is the experience? How do you know you have it? And let yourself fall more into that. According to Edgar Cayce's readings, many of us were Atlanteans in distant past lives. In my opinions, Tufte's knowledge and transurfing itself is the resurrection of that great knowledge. Quite possibly. I began to think about this a long time ago. How can you live your whole life in a young body? Everything is laid out on the shelves here. Now everything is clear. Thank you so much for everything you've shared with us. Thank you for all of this. I sometimes get real miracles. These technologies are ahead of their time.